I'm not going to promise that we're going to see porn or anything like that. But... John, I got to tell you, your recovery on that was money. Absolute money. It just happened, right? Right? And I'll tell you, that probably took like the weight off my shoulders for the rest of the day. So, thank you. Thank you. What's up, Mitra?
Hey.
How you doing?
All right.
Feeling good? I saw y'all last night. I know some of y'all aren't feeling good. I see the heads in the hand, like, I'm gonna try, but oh my God. So who rocked the mechanical bull last night? Where we got? Somebody. Somebody nailed it. Yeah? Couple? All right. Very good. What about push-ups? Anybody do push-ups last night? Is that just Toyin? I heard Toyin do push-ups last night. Let's give it up for Toyin and his push-ups. Maybe we should give it up for Manish and his push-ups. I heard they were on point. Manish, you in here? I'm here. Yeah. All right, very good. I wish I could have seen that. So I want to start. I know you guys have been sitting for a little while, so I want you to stand up for me. I know that I'm probably 50 years away from not remembering today. So I want to take a selfie with you guys. Can we do that? But you guys got to do something to make it look like you're having a blast. Anybody, do you remember what you did last night? Did you have fun last night? All right, so kind of channel that for a few seconds. Channel that for a few moments. Maybe throw your arms up in the air and scream here in just a second so that we can get this on camera, okay? Thanks for letting me use your phone, Johnny. Where you are. All right, so I'm not good with this sort of thing, but that's most of you, a lot of you. I don't see anybody arms up. One person, honestly. All right, KFC Mitra! Yeah, very good. Awesome. So, any big winners in the casino last night? We got to define big, right? Where's KC at? KC, where you at? KC won so much money 2 nights ago in the casino that he's offered to buy lunch for everybody in here. That's right. Just ask Julie where it's at. We've got some amazing things in store for you today. We've got some incredible celebration, some amazing recognition. We've got a couple of workshops. One workshop is to develop your awareness around your personal leadership, and another workshop to really teach you how to deliver powerful and meaningful feedback to your team so that we can get them to stick around longer. I think John's point about getting them to at least stay 90 days stretches that out. I think that's super, super important. So throughout the day today, you know that this is going to be interactive, right? Right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna practice. So a lot of times I'm gonna ask, does that make sense? Do you agree with that? And what I want you to do is yell yes as loud as you can. Okay? So you agree with that?
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. We're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna start with 3 questions. I think it's really, really important as we begin today that we're all in the same spot. Okay? And these 3 questions are designed to ensure that you get the most out of your time today. Nobody wants to waste their time, right?
Yes.
Nobody wants to waste their time, right? Yeah. All right, very good. First question is this, and if you need to write it down, if you need to write your answer down, you can, that's cool. The first question is, why doesn't the slide advance? It's not it.
What?
Slide.
Hang on. The first question is this, how present am I going to be today? How present am I going to be today on a scale of 1 to 10? So 1 would be, I could literally think of 1,000 places I'd rather be than right here. And really my goal is to get my heart rate down to about 30 beats per minute in the next 30 minutes. 10 might be I'm full on and I'm ready to make sure that we have a great time and that I learn as much as I possibly can. Okay? Second question is this, scale of 1 to 10, how much risk are you willing to take today? And I'm not talking about the casino risk, I'm talking about vulnerability, right? How much risk are you going to take in here in our workshops later today to ensure that you get the most out of it? 1 might be, you can't get information out of me if you try. 10 might look like, I'm going to be super vulnerable, open, and make sure that we get the best experience possible. Make sense? Last question. How much do I care about the experience of my peers? So one might look like, I hate these people. Seriously, this is the worst. This guy's up here. He's going to make me stand up and do the chicken dance or hold my arms out for 60 seconds. It was great, by the way, Jeff. 10 would look like, I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to learn. I don't get a chance to hang around with these people very often, right? We don't get together as much as we'd like to, but we have a lot to learn from one another. 1 to 10. And I ask you those questions because we're going to explore personal leadership, personal awareness. Some people call it self-awareness. Some people might call it self-leadership. For the purpose of today, we're going to call it personal leadership. We have to own our own leadership. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Do the rest of you believe that?
Yes.
All right. If we're going to lead other people, we have to be great at leading ourselves, right? It starts with us. The difference between being average and being extraordinary is personal leadership. Who wants to be average? Show of hands. Who wants to be extraordinary? Let me hear you. Very good. So this is the part where we are going to get interactive. So once again, could everybody stand up for me? This is fun, I promise you. Does everybody know your right from your left? Petreka, how you feeling? Left, right, you got it? All right, first thing I want you to do, I want you to find your left hand, and I want you to stretch it high up in the air, as high as you can. Okay? Okay, now I want you to take it out to the side like this. Just like this. You guys look good doing this. Now we're going to do a little teacup. I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. Then I want you to take your right index finger, your pointer finger. Everybody have one of those? Most of us? We're going to point straight up in the air. And now you're going to place it into the palm of the person on your left. Or your right. Place it in the palm of the person on your right. My left.
On your what? On your right?
So place your finger in the palm of the person next to you. In the palm. Physically in the palm. If you're not touching somebody, you're doing this wrong. You might have to scoot around. You might have to scoot. You gotta get somebody's finger into that palm right there. Right behind you. This is the silver color. All right, now, on the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to do 2 things. I want you to remove your finger, when I say 3, from the person's palm to your right. At the same time, I want you to try to grab the person's finger that's in your palm. All right? Now, don't hurt anybody. Seriously, it's just an activity. Don't take this too seriously. All right? So on the count of 3, everybody know what we're doing? All right. 1, 2, 3. I didn't say sit down yet. No. You can let go of the fingers though. HR's in the room. Lisa, where you at? Lisa, this is how restraining orders happen. Let the finger go. All right, now that you know what we're doing, we're going to do this one more time. Yeah, I know, Amelia. We're going to do it one more time. So, left hand in the air. Left hand out to the side. Right finger in the air. Right finger in the palm. Everybody's touching something at this point, right? This is really weird.
Very weird.
Anybody feel slightly uncomfortable?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, here we go. On the count of 3, right? 1, 2, grease! I didn't say 3. I said grease, like the oil in your fryers. Grease. You guys can sit down. Now, why did we do that? Clearly, I wanted to laugh at you. It's not true. The reality is, a lot of times we go to these meetings, we go to conferences, we go to seminars, we go to area coach meetings, we go to stewardship meetings, we go to RGM meetings. And we come in with the mindset that I've heard all this before. I know this. I'm good. I'm going to try to believe this, or I'm not. And what happens is we often miss critical insights. We miss big steps, right? We take the wrong step. And what I encourage you to do for the balance of today is to listen like a new hire. Do you remember that new hire that shows up at the restaurant in the clean uniform? Everybody with me? Shirt's tucked in, hat, name tags on the shirt, right? Big eyes, hanging on every word, listening to you, listening for insights, right? That's what I want you to listen like today. Can you guys commit to doing that for me?
Yes.
The other part of that is those people kind of slip by the wayside from time to time, right? We have to ask ourselves today, how could this be true for me? How could this be true for me? Whatever we're talking about. So first of all, I want to say it's an honor to be here today. I'm super stoked and excited to have this opportunity to do this keynote with you guys. This is an important group. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
An incredibly important group. Yes. Give yourselves a hand. You know, I'll never forget the first time that I got asked to lead a KFC meeting. And it wasn't just a couple of years ago when I was an operations leader. It was all the way back in 1992. Who wasn't born in 1992? Show of hands. Thank God. I was so worried about that. I was 18 years old. I had just been promoted to a shift supervisor in Louisville, Kentucky. And KFC had one of these large leadership initiatives. It was called Be the Leader, Act Like the Leader. And they had brought everyone to Louisville for this big rally. And what they wanted to happen was we had to cascade this down to the team members, right? You guys know the drill. We had a lot of stores that were close by, close together in Louisville. So we actually, my RGM had 3 stores that they wanted to pull together. We're going to do a couple of meetings. And he asked me to do it. 18 years old. And I remember what I felt like when he asked me to do that. You know, I was so scared. I was frightened. So I went to him, and with the stuff that's going through my head, I go to my RGM, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to get these people that I was just working with a couple of months ago, side by side, to actually listen to me and do what I'm asking them to do. Anybody remember what that feels like? Yeah. I'm not smart enough to do this, or I'm not experienced enough to do this. Surely there's somebody else, right? That's when he looked at me and he said something that actually changed the trajectory of my career entirely. He said, Scott, if I didn't believe that you could do this, if I didn't believe that you were capable, I would have asked somebody else to do it. You have to give yourself permission to get out of your own way. And that was so impactful to me, because really what that comes down to, and I think it's true for everybody in the room, we have to be able to conquer ourselves, right? It starts with us. Our leadership starts with us. Our ability to get out of our own way begins with us. So that's what we're going to explore today, is really becoming more aware of who we are as leaders, what you're capable of, the impact of your thoughts and decisions and actions, and how that transforms into personal leadership. So, Rome wasn't built in a day. Who likes the casino here? Who likes the hotel? Yeah. Give it up to Julie for putting this together. This is really awesome. So Rome wasn't built in a day. So when I did research for this, what I found was this saying goes back to a playwright in the 1500s. How cool would it be for you to come up with a saying that lasted like 500 years? My mom used these things all the time. He was actually pregnant with a couple of others. Have you ever heard the saying, out of sight, out of mind? Same guy. How about better late than never? Same dude. The more the merrier. Crazy, right? I hope my legacy lives 500 years. I don't know. I just had to take a selfie so that I could capture it here. But what does Rome wasn't built in a day mean? It takes time. And what takes time? Important work. We just said that you guys do important work, right? Important work takes time. That's the whole premise of Rome wasn't built in a day. So, have you ever been working really hard on something specific? You know, you're kind of amped up about it, you got a deadline maybe, or you got to get something ready for a meeting or for stewardship or something like that, and your boss calls and says, I have a request. Has that ever happened to you? All the time? Who said that? Don't tell me. All right. So this happened to me last week, so I wanted to really nail this speech. I wanted to make sure that it was impactful for everybody and you walked away with something that you could use in your work and your lives, right? And I get a phone call from Pushpack. Is Pushpack in the room? Oh, yeah. I don't know if I was actually supposed to share this with you guys, but anyway, I'll tell you anyway. So he calls me, he's like, Scott, I need a favor. I'm like, oh, okay, it's cool. He was like, I want you to write a book. Oh my God. Like before Best of the Best? Like you just want me to throw this together? He was like, no, I want you to write a book. I'm like, okay, what is it? He said, I want you to write the story of Mitra. So I've been asked to be the biographer for the story of Mitra QSR. How cool is that? Right? And I was like, that's awesome. So I worked in, I can do that, right? So I worked in book selling for 15 years. And one thing I know for sure is that you have to have a good title and you have to have a good cover for the book, right? The book, the cover is what really draws people in. So I want to share with you guys. You guys are first ones to see this. I've got the cover, I think, and I think I've got the title. Who wants to see it? Yeah. All right. So we're going to start with the title, The Untold Story of Mitra QSR. You think there's an untold story going on here?
Yes.
It's a story that we have to get to our team members, right? This whole notion of how we started, which we'll talk about in just a second. So here's the picture. Who wants to see it? Come on, let me hear you. Who wants to see it? Here's the cover of the book. Now, we can talk about what was going on in this picture. We could probably just make stories up, I guess. That's actually Pushpack's living room. Not true. So that's a good start. You think that's going to sell? You think that'll draw people in? Yeah? Himber, you're going to buy one? 2 of them. So I had to come up with the subtitle of the book. So The Untold Story of Mitra QSR, How to Become an Overnight Success in More Than 9 Years. Now, that's a little funny, right? Sort of, not really. But it's true, right? Important work takes time. When you go back to that idea that Rome wasn't built in a day, important work takes time. And the success that's happened here at Mitra and that continues to happen here at Mitra didn't happen overnight. Growth is slow and it's long and sometimes it's messy. It's not always perfect, would you agree?
Yep.
But it's important work, and that's why it takes time. Jeff Shank said it yesterday. Come a long way from one store in Anna, Texas, right? This would be a pretty boring conference for one store. Big space, one person sitting here. And now over 200 restaurants and climbing. And now we've got ownership in the business. I don't know if that's sunk in with everybody yet, but ownership in this business is a massive, massive deal. Talk about important work. That changes the whole game. It changes everything that you do. It changes your mindset entirely. I own this business. This is my business. So important work takes time. But what gets in the way of actually nailing that important work? More often than not, it's us. There's something going on with us. One of the RGMs in John's video alluded to it. Who in here has ever had a little voice in their head, not that voice, the other voice, that tells them you're not good enough? Tells you you're not good enough. You're not good enough to do that. You're not smart enough to do that. You're not educated enough to do that. You're not experienced enough to do that. And that little voice is designed to keep you safe. But what happens is it makes us play small. It makes us play super small. And you have to be aware of that voice and what you do with it when it comes up. Or how about this one, right? You've got this amazing idea. You've got this incredible idea that's going to transform your life your business. It's going to make the people in your restaurant's life easier. It's going to make your life easier. And then somewhere, you know it's right. You know it's the right one. And somewhere in the back of your mind, kind of carving through all that enthusiasm and creativity, it comes up and says, yeah, that's a really great idea. But what happens if you fall on your face? Now what? You have to do push-ups? I mean, what do you do when you fall on your face? You jump up and kind of dust yourself off to see if anybody noticed? Sometimes you worry about what other people may think as opposed to what you can learn in that moment. Anybody ever felt that way? Yeah. I mean, who thinks I might have stayed down there a little too long? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you stayed down too long? Right? When was the last time you stayed down too long? That happens. If we're not aware of that inner critic, if we're not aware of that gremlin that's inside of us that tells us that we're not good enough, smart enough, experienced enough, then that becomes the truth. That's the only time it becomes true. So we begin to believe it, right? And we have to find a way to get away from that. There he is. So back to the Roman theme for a second. I got to catch my breath. Clearly I'm out of shape. That was less than one push-up, Manish. Less than one. So back to the Roman theme. You know, Rome was built on many things. Would you agree with that? It starts with a great foundation, great leadership, experiences, decisions. All of those things played into the building of Rome and the Roman Empire. And here's the thing, it's the exact same thing for you, for everybody in this room. All those things, the foundation, the decisions, the leadership, it applies to you as well, right? You as a business leader, you as a mentor to your team members, you as a coach in your restaurant, you as a father, a mother, son, daughter, all those things are built the same way the Roman Empire was built. And everything that we achieve in life and in business begins with how we define success. And it's different for everybody, right? What's successful for me may not be successful for you, and vice versa. Some people measure their success by the amount of money in their bank account, or by their balance or their operation scorecard, or by their bonus, right? Everything that we achieve or don't achieve in life starts within us. Success comes from within you, not outside of you. You ever met somebody that feels like a victim to their circumstances? You ever had somebody like that in your restaurant? You ever worked with somebody like that as a peer? The success actually comes from inside. Those outside forces, time, money, experience, those are all things that will influence, but they don't determine the level of success and how you define it. The other thing that happens with this is we determine our level of success by where we are today. And what happens is a lot of times that becomes, we think of that as a ceiling. It's the best I can do, right? I'm the 3-0 bound operation scorecard, for example. That's the best I can do. This is the best team I can hire. These folks are doing the best that they can with what they have. I can't get them to do more than that. That's because we tell ourselves that. It's all this internal dialogue. Your current level of success is a direct result of your past thoughts, decisions, and actions. You ever heard that before?
Yes.
Maybe? Let me give you an example of how it played out in my life. So, much younger, I was told that I wasn't a good student. Okay? I couldn't pay attention, was always cracking up, making jokes. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. I wasn't a good student. So I was told that I wasn't a good student, so guess what I did? I believed that I wasn't a good student. That was my thought. And my decision then was, I'm not going to study. Why would I study? If I'm a bad student, why would I study? Right? I know better than to put my energy somewhere it's not going to make a difference. I'm not going to go that extra mile. I'm not going to put myself in a position to be successful. So guess what happened? Right? The action there, I got a bad grade. So I get bad grades, and that reinforces the idea that I'm not a good student. I wonder how often we send messages incorrectly to our teens that gets caught in this same loop. And it wasn't until I changed that, it wasn't until I changed my thought about that, you know what? Just because somebody told me I'm a bad student doesn't mean that I'm a bad student, right? So if I were to maybe change my actions to map to what I wanted, things might be different. So I started to study, and I started to pay attention, and I started to be engaged. And guess what? The grades went up, which then told me what? I'm not a bad student, right? This is what happens in our lives and our businesses as well. It's like looking in the rearview mirror, right? If you're trying to get to that newly remodeled restaurant, if you're trying to get to your newly built store, if you're trying to get to that house of your dreams, you can't do that if you're looking in the rearview mirror. What happens if you look in the rearview mirror while you're driving? It's not going to end well, is it? True and lasting success can only happen when you turn away from what you don't want and focus on what you do want. You believe that? I heard 3 people say yes.
Yes.
You believe that?
Yes.
How about this? Do you believe this? Energy attracts like energy.
Yes. I believe that.
You believe that? I like it. We've got one strong believer in the room.
Yes.
Can I get a yes?
Yes.
All right. It's almost like a radio frequency. So picture this. You're driving down the road. You've left your store for the day. You've talked to your area coach. You've put the exclamation point on another fantastic day at your restaurant. Sounding good so far? Yeah. And then you decide for whatever reason you want to listen to some Kanye. Now, are there any Kanye fans in here? That's great, because I have no idea why anybody would want to listen to Kanye. But what you do is you start scanning your radio, right? You start scanning, you're listening, and the first one that comes up, boom, is not Kanye. It's Britney. We got any Britney fans? Right? Yeah. And I'm not talking about today's Britney, Jason. I'm talking about like old school, pre-freak out, before I shaved my head bald Britney, right? That's not what you were looking for, was it? So what do? You keep scanning, right? You keep scanning till you get to what you want. See, that radio frequency comes out, and it's trying to match up to the energy that wants to hear it. It's the same thing with what we do in our business and our lives. There's a big difference between knowing what you do want and knowing what you don't want. Has anybody ever heard me tell you that your language matters?
Yeah.
Trent, where are you at? Yeah. Your language matters, right? What we think about, we bring about. And let me tell you a real quick story about how I know that that's true, okay? So 2014, I was at a world-class operations meeting for KFC in Tucson, Arizona. And like all great KFC meetings, we had an option to choose a couple of activities, okay? One was to ride horseback up a mountain. The other was to mountain bike in the desert. Now, I'm from Kentucky. I would have thought that I really would have enjoyed horseback riding, but I didn't do that. I actually chose the mountain bike with 3 other people. Out of the whole group, there were only 4 of us that did the mountain biking. So we show up at the shack the next morning to pick up the bike. It should be easy, right? And I find out that we have a guide and we have to have an informational meeting. And what could possibly go wrong with mountain biking in the desert? Anybody been mountain biking in the desert? No. Just me. That's awesome. So I get to make this whole thing up now. I can embellish all I want. No, what happened was, I have no idea what the guy said. I have no idea what the guide said to us. But I do remember one thing that he said. He said something very specific. He said, whatever you do, you don't want to look at a cactus. Because you're going to run right into it. Really? Like, what's it going to jump out at me? Whatever. So we get into this ride. It's about an hour long. I'm about halfway through. I'm feeling pretty good. I think I should be on the X Games on ESPN or one of those crazy dash cam or like helmet cams where they're diving off rocks and things like that. Things are going really well. And that's when I saw it. Yep. The biggest, meanest, greenest, nastiest cactus you can imagine. I mean, it was huge. Had to be huge. In my mind, it was huge. And guess what I did? You know where this is going, right? I took my eye off the road, took my eye off my path, and I was staring right at that damn cactus. And the next thing I know, I'm laying in the sand, somewhere between my bike and this cactus, and I'm pulling spines out of places that to this day I have no idea how they got there. If you've never experienced a cactus, I wouldn't recommend it. So looking back on this, I think about that guide, and he must have been some sort of sicko. Probably a Popeyes fan, maybe. Because he could have given me a very different message, right? He told me that whatever I did, I didn't want to look at a cactus. So I looked directly at the cactus. He could have easily have said, keep your eye on the road. Keep your eye on the path. Keep your eye on the front of your wheel. That's going to get you back here safely, right? See, I wonder how often we're telling our teams what we don't want them to do versus what we do want them to do. I don't want you to show up in your restaurant with a dirty uniform. I don't want you to miss your speed on your shift tonight. I don't want you to have too much product left over at the end of the night where somebody may make a bad decision about what to do, right? Focusing on what they don't want. And here's the deal about this. It's absolutely science. This isn't me standing up here making this up, right? We're going to do another exercise, but you're not going to stand up for this one. You excited? Say yes? Yes. All right. Don't think about a hot fudge sundae. Whatever you do not think about that cold, creamy ice cream in that cup. Do not think about the hot fudge that's rolling down the side. Whatever you do, don't think about that cool, airy whipped cream on top with the cherry. Do not think about a hot fudge sundae. How'd that go?
We're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Right? And why is that? Because your mind can't process a negative.
Yeah.
If you're like most people, you actually had to put into your mind what you didn't want to see to begin with so that you get out and think about it. Thinking without that level of awareness leads us to settle. It leads us to have goals that are too low. You know, our goals should be audacious. Our goals should be incredible. Who in here had a 5.0 scorecard for the full year last year? Jack Dish. Where you at? There he is. I think he deserves a little more than that, right? How about, I want to develop 3 new RGMs this year. Or, I want to be tapped to run a new market for Mitra because we're growing. And as we grow, my ownership in the company grows with it. Right? How about, I want to be the #1 KFC in the entire system. Forget Mitra for a second. I want to be #1 in the entire system. Those are audacious goals. Those are big, hairy, audacious goals. And that's the key to unlocking your true potential. You agree with that?
Yes.
It all starts up here. To begin writing your 2nd chapter, as Jeff said yesterday. I love that, by the way. You know, I want you to be incredibly successful in work and in life, and however you define that for yourself. But to do that, you've got to do a lot more than just listen to me. You have to take action. Action is what separates thinkers from achievers. Who wants to be an achiever?
Yes.
Who wants to be an achiever?
Yes.
Yeah. So, are you still listening like a new hire? Are you ready to go deep in your own personal journey of success?
Yes.
As we transition today into our workshops and the balance of the day, you know we're giving away some money tonight, right? Yeah. You know we're giving away money tonight, right? Yeah. As we transition into these next workshops, there's 3 things I want to ask, okay? First of all, I want you to be aware of your internal language. Be aware of that voice. Be aware of that inner critic. Be aware of when you tell yourself that you're not good enough or smart enough or educated enough, whatever that limiting belief is that's going to keep you from attaining the success that you want. That's what I want you to focus on, okay? And if you've got accountability partners, if you've got peers, and you hear yourself saying things that you don't want, I want you to call them out on that. You know, when you go back to this, I think about, I coach people, right? And recently, well, almost all the time, it comes back to a question of, what do you want, right? What do you want? Whether it's business or life, or relationships, whatever it is, what do you want? So I asked this guy, I said, what do you want? He said, I want to not be in debt. I don't want to be in debt. Anybody relate to that? I don't want to be in debt. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, I don't want to be in debt. I said, are you sure? Yes, I don't want to be in debt. I said, cool. So I told him about this guy that lives in my neighborhood in Baltimore. He lives under a blanket on top of one of those underground ventilation grates that brings the heat up from under the street, right? And he has no car, no house, no apartment, doesn't have a clean change of clothes, and typically goes through his day without enough food to eat. Guess what?
No debt.
He has no debt. He's not in debt. So I asked him, I said, is that what you want? And after some more coaching and some more talking, it came back to what he wanted was financial freedom, right? He just wanted to be financially free. But again, that's the importance of your language. Your language matters. So be aware of that. The second thing is I want you to get super clear on what you do want. Again, yesterday afternoon, the game changed in this room when that ownership piece came out. Get super clear on what you do want in your business and in your life. Make sure to vocalize that. Don't talk about what you don't want, talk about what you do want. What I do want is to have Casey's luck tonight at the roulette table. What I don't want is to have what normally happens to me at the roulette table. Casey, you got me? All right, you got me. Get super clear on what you do want. And then finally, take action to close your gaps between where you are and where you want to be. Don't just be a thinker. Thinking's cool, achieving's better. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So do you want to be average or extraordinary?
Extraordinary.
If you want to be extraordinary, let me hear you.
Yes.
All right, so why don't we get started right in your second chapter. Thank you very much.